Hello and welcome to Dice and Demons. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the new battle forces for Warhammer Age of Sigmar that have just been announced. So if you just saw my video on the 40k ones, this will be mostly similar to that in the regard that I'm looking at this mostly from a hobbyist perspective and not so much as a competitive player, because while I do play Age of Sigmar more than I play 40k, I am not like a really great tournament player or anything. I spend way more time painting my models than I do playing with them, so that's what's most important to me, even though of course I also really enjoy it if I can actually put together a force that can, you know, smash the enemy on the battlefield. So, but mostly from a hobbyist perspective. So, and this year, as you can see here, we have we get 7 boxes, which is awesome. I think last year we had 4 boxes for Age of Sigmar, so they're coming out with more this year, and I think that's great news. So the first one is for Daughters of Cain, Cainite Slaughter Coven. I like that name. Celebrate Christmas alongside Marathi's apotheosis by unleashing an army of bloodthirsty elves. The Slaughter Coven is made up of a Slaughter Queen on Cauldron of Blood, which can alternatively be built as a Bloodwreck Shrine or a Hag Queen on Cauldron of Blood, 5 Melusai Blood Sisters, who can be built as Bloodstalkers, 5 Kinerai Heartrenders, who can be built as Life Takers, 5 Doomfire Warlocks, and 10 Witch Elves, who can be built as Sisters of Slaughter, which gives you enough options to spill blood anywhere you like. So I actually do have a small army of Daughters of Cain, and I mean, I think they're pretty cool. It's a pretty cool army, and I think I like this box because you get like a little bit of everything. You get like a big, nice big centerpiece model. You get some of the snake ladies. You get some of the flying harpy-like ladies. You get the sort of ordinary troops, the witch elves, and then you also get these Doomfire Warlocks. They're the only ones I'm not. I like them because I like models on horses. It's just they don't quite fit in with my idea of like the core units in a Daughters of Cain army, but that might just be me. But I really like the look of these models, and I mean, they're cool. They're snake ladies. So yeah, I think this looks pretty sweet. I'm not going to get it because I basically have everything I want out of these units. I have a bunch of snake ladies, and some of them are painted and some of them aren't. I already have 5 of the Kinerai, the winged ladies, and I've gone for like a no witch elves army, so I don't particularly need those. But it looks really cool, and if you're just starting an army of these, this is probably great. Then we have the Auric Warclans Cruel Boys Swamp Lurkers. And it says here, this battle force includes 2 legendary heroes, Swamp Boss Scumdrag and Gobsprag the Mouth of Mork, who can also be built as a Snatcher Boss on Sludge Raker Beast and a Killer Boss on Corpse Ripper Vulture, respectively. I do love the names from the Cruel Boys. I mean, Killer Boss on Corpse Ripper Vulture. That's cool. It just, you know, has a nice ring to it. They're leading 3 Manskewer Bolt Boys and 10 God Rippers. Whether you like to get up close and personal or sit back and shoot, you'll be dishing out loads of mortal wounds thanks to the Cruel Boys' venom-encrusted weapons. So, I mean, again, this particular box actually has 2 big centerpiece models. I like the Swamp Boss Scumdrag. It's you know, nice and disgusting and a weird beast, but for me the main attraction here would definitely be the vulture. It's like, I don't know, it's just such a, I don't know, I mean, it's not like it's a pretty model, but I just think it's so cool, and it would be so much fun to paint. Again, lots of you know, lots of textures. You have all the feathers, you have like the banners, you have the guy on top who's the Mouth of Mork, perhaps, and I believe he has a spell that's called Mork Says No or something. It's just like, you can't cast a spell because Mork says no. Yeah, it's just silly. And then you have the 3 range guys, and then you have 10 of the God Rippers. So, I mean, in my mind, like, I'm not sure if that's the way you're supposed to build this army, but in my mind, I imagine this being like a model, like that's just like coming at you in like a huge swarm of models, right? So for me, I would have liked to see it just fleshed out a little bit more with more like troops, like ordinary battle line soldiers, perhaps. But on the other hand, you get these two nice centerpiece models. So that's, I mean, that's awesome as well. Then we have the Gloomspite Gits Stampeding Squickerlanche. What's the most Christmassy sound? Jingle bells? The red gobber sneaking down the chimney? Nah, it's a bunch of squicks all going boing. The Squickerlanche consists of a loon boss on giant cave squick, 2 mangler squicks who can be ridden by loon bosses, 10 squick hoppers who can be assembled as boing bounders, and a 12-strong squick herd. Don't let their randomness fool you, there's a lot of gnashing teeth in this army. So, I mean, this is such a fun army, and it of course reminds me a tiny bit of my my orc army for 40k. And I don't know if you've ever seen any of those videos I've done where I put like my squig hog riders and stuff on like little plastic strips so they can actually go bounce, bounce, bounce. I think it's fun. I'm perhaps not the most mature person in the entire universe. But I mean, this army just begs to be put on like some sort of springy stuff, so they could all just go bounce, bounce, bounce also in real life. Perhaps it would be a little bit difficult with the bigger ones just because they would be heavy, but I'm sure you could come up with a way of doing that. And I mean, wouldn't it be fun? Like if you just touch the table, your entire army would just go... yeah, I don't know. It would just be fun. Yeah. And the squicks, they're just... It's the silliest, most stupid models I've ever seen, and it's nice. Yeah, I could be tempted by this. I probably wouldn't paint them in this particular color scheme. I would, I would just probably go for an all-out like Skittles look on them. So like all sorts of different bright colors, but that would be fun. Then we have for the Skaven, the Verminous Host. Praise be to the horned rat who has sent his children to overwhelm any that would stand in their way and probably steal their presents too. Very true. This new battle force rings in Christmas with a Grazier on a Screaming Bell, which can also be built as a Plague Priest on Plague Furnace, a Warlock Bombardier, 3 Storm Fiends, a whopping 40 Clan Rats, and 40 Plague Monks. Tie your enemies down with expendable troops before finishing them off with the mighty Storm Fiends. A perfect plan. Yes, yes. Okay, so... Okay, this is silly. I mean, you get 40 Clan Rats and 40 Plague Monks, so you get 80 models, and like from a hobbyist standpoint, I mean, that's just insane. It would take forever to paint, but it's, they're the Skaven, they're like coming at you in like a huge horde of expendable models, right? They can just, they can throw 50 away and they don't care. And so I really like it from sort of the theme of the army perspective. I also quite like the Screaming Bell, I like the Grazier, I like the Storm Fiends. They would be really cool to paint. I've looked at them a bunch of times. I mean, I could really... they would just be fun to paint. They have got this sort of steampunky look to them that I quite like. I think this is all kinds of silly, and yeah, I'm pretty much here for it. Then we have Nighthaunt Legion of Grief. You won't feel any grief if you pick up this box, which is packed with enough ethereal spirits to haunt the mortal realms in the name of Christmas past, present, and Christmas yet to come. Inside you'll find Lady Olander, Mortog of Grief, a black coach, 20 Blade-Ghast Revenants, 10 Dreadsky Heritants, and 20 Grimghast Reapers. While you're out dominating the realms with this powerful army, don't forget to send us a ghost card. Again, I like when you come up with an army that has a nice centerpiece, and I think here you get 2. The Lady Olander is obviously not like a huge centerpiece model. I believe she's yay tall or something. But the Black Coach, that's a huge model, and it's awesome. I really, really like the design. I really like the design of the Nighthaunt. Actually, I don't have a Nighthaunt army. I've never like tried starting one or anything. I could be tempted. It's just I don't think I've ever like in my mind really come up with a nice color scheme that I would really love to paint. But I mean, if someone has any cool ideas of what a Dice and Demons Nighthaunt army could look like, I'm definitely open to suggestions, and I could then probably be quite tempted by this box. I also like that you have you get a bunch of models, which again I think is appropriate for the Nighthaunts because they're also like an army with just lots of battle line units and lots of people on the battlefield. I think it fits the theme of a ghost army, that you just have like masses of ghosts coming at you, but you get like 3 different units of ghosts here, which is cool. So you get a bit of variation also from a painting perspective, and I'd love to give I'd really love to try and paint Lady Olander, the whole thing where she has the cloth over her head and you can see her scream behind it and stuff. Yeah, that would be fun. Then we have the Sylvaneth Revenant Wargrove. From the Spectres of Death to the Guardians of Life, the Revenant Wargrove box includes a whole army of very angry Christmas trees. Draika Hammerdreth leads 2 Tree Lords, which can alternatively be built as a Spirit of Durthu or a Tree Lord Ancient, 10 Spite Revenants, which can be built as Tree Revenants, and 16 Sylvaneth Dryads. You'll be putting so much smack down on your enemies, they'll be desperate to sign a treaty. Spelled like tree. Okay, so I have just recently started a Sylvaneth army, so I mean, this is cool. I'm not sure I'll be picking this up just because I already have, I think, 2 or 3 of the Tree Lords. I already have Draika, I have some of those Spite Revenants, and I also have, I think, 50 Dryads. And I mean, I don't mean to be petty, but it annoys me a little bit that they included 16 Dryads, as they only, in Age of Sigmar, you can only field them in a minimum troop size of 10. I mean, you could field just 6, but you will still be paying for the full 10 models. And I know it's the way the sprues are built or whatever, but it would just be nice that they actually came in like a playable size. Again, this is mostly from a hobbyist perspective, and if you're only going to be painting and not playing, then who cares if you get 16 or 20. I think the Dryads are, I mean, they're just like a nice basic battle line to paint, but I really, really like the bigger models in the Sylvaneth range. They have so much awesome wood-like texture to them, and I just think they are really fun. You have the sort of armor-like plates. You have the small sprigs sprouting from their backs. You have some, you have the leaves. You have all sorts of things, and then you also have the more skin-like areas. And I just think they're a fun army to paint. I'm painting them in like, well, as my wife said, you just decided to put every single color on them, didn't you? And I was like, yeah, I probably did. So they're very colorful. Then we have, lastly, the Stormcast Eternals, Thunderstrike Spearhead. And it says, finally, it's not Christmas without the golden-clad warriors of the God King. Start your own Dawnbringer crusade with a Knight Relictor, 3 heavily armed Annihilators, 10 Vanquishers, 10 Vigilers armed with Stormcaller bows, and finally there's a pair of swift and deadly Stormdrake Guards, one of which can alternatively be built as a Knight Draconis. So this is cool again. I like that they have centerpiece models, which obviously these 2 Stormdrake Guards are. I mean, they're not giant. They're not like the huge. Oh, sorry. They're not like the huge dragon that's this tall or something there. But I mean, they're still big models, and they are cool to paint. I have painted one of them, and they have they're completely new sculpts, and they have so much awesome texture on them to paint. That you have the wings, you have like the scales in the back, and it is the scales in the back are different from the scales in front, and then you have the armor and the knights and stuff. Awesome models to paint. So from a hobbyist perspective, the dragons are definitely a great challenge. Then you have all sorts of different more ordinary Stormcast troops, and And I think they give you a nice bit of variety. You have a lot of armor, you have a lot of cloth, you have some heroes, you have, I mean, yeah. I think this is probably a nice starting point for a Stormcast army, at least from a hobby perspective, because you get a little bit of not everything, but you get a little bit of different kinds of models to build, and different sort of texture, and some of them are very dynamic, and some of them have cloaks that are swirling in the wind, and some of them are more stationary and look more like heavy armored impressive dudes that are just coming to bash you over the head, and I quite like that. So yeah, this looks quite cool as well. I already have like 2 halves of the what was it called, like the big box set with the Cruel Boys and the Stormcast, the Dominion box. I already have 2 halves of the Stormcasts from that box lying in a pile of not shame, but of opportunity, I guess. So I don't need to add to that pile, but I think this looks pretty cool as well. So I think, I mean, the Skaven one is definitely the one that just made me laugh, because, I mean, 80 plus models. It's just ridiculous, which is awesome. And the Squiggle is just fun and cool, and it would be so much fun to just make them like boing 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 in real life as well. I really like the vulture here. I mean, the rest of the models are great sculpts. They're not my particular aesthetic, but I do really like the vulture. Yeah. I could probably be most tempted actually by the Nighthaunt one, if only I could come up with a way of painting them that I could be like really, really excited about. On the other hand, perhaps I don't need to be really excited about the Nighthaunt, because as I said, I have just started a Sylvaneth army. So yeah. So the question is, what do you guys think about these boxes? Are you happy that there are 7 boxes this year instead of the usual 4? Are there any of them that you think look like really, really cool, or something that you really want to pick up? Or do any of you have any suggestions for how I should paint a Nighthaunt army if I were to start one at some point? So I look forward to hearing what you have to say. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.